And we're back. DFS Fight Lab, once known as first in, last out, but we're still first in, last out because it's 12 o'clock noon. It's fight day. I'm joined by my main man, Joey DFS. How you doing? How you moving? How you grooving?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. It's fight day. If you don't know, UFC 328 is in the Garden State of New Jersey, where me and Billy's backwoods are. We're not going to the fight, so you'll definitely have to tune in 5 p.m. Eastern on Pub Sports MMA to watch us live for the UFC 328. But this is the DFS show, and we got some good DFS plays coming your way.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of North Jersey, but I mean the card. This card is stacked. This is definitely seems like the card of the year. So let's get into the first topic of the evening here. We're going to talk about the cash game plays. The cash game plays have been hitting for us. Obviously, we hope so. It's a cash game. This is usually like our chalkiest pick of the card. There's a lot of options to pick between this week. Try not to pick the main event here because that's a whole entire segment in itself. Who are you liking here at the top of the order for the cash games?
So if we're not going main event, I'm not going to do that. I like Gutier. He's the highest price tag at $9,800. Especially if, let's say, prime example, you're not on the favorite in the main. We'll get to that later on. But if you're telling me you're not going to touch the favorite, Gutier is probably your next bet because there's a very good high probability of a chance he's going to go for that round one finish, and he might even be live for that 60 seconds or less. So if you're definitely getting cash gains for that, hey, that's a very good spot if you're not touching the main.
Yeah, I actually have a bet on Atiba Gachier that we talked about on the best bet segment thing yesterday. Atiba Gachier by knockout in rounds 1, minus 145. I sent it in as a YouTube short. I don't know if it got posted or not, but it's on my Instagram and stuff like that. It got some good comments on it and stuff like that. So I'm kind of right there with you. I'm kind of looking at Atiba Gachier as well at the top of the order. And then another name that I was looking at as well was more of Tatsuro Taira, kind of a fight that I don't want to lead in too much, but I guess it's the time to talk about the co-main event. I like both sides of the co-main event here. I could see Tatsuro Taira being in the winning lineup in a win if he wins by submission, but it's also one of the rare co-main events that are going to be 5 rounds. So we always talk about you don't want to fade the main event. You don't want to fade the main event because it's 5 rounds. Well, the co-main event's also 5 rounds as well. I think if Joshua Van can take it to 5 rounds, then he's going to be able to score at the bottom of the order. But then Tatsuro Taira, if he wins, I think he's going to be a very nice, good cash game fit of a lineup. So the winner of that fight's definitely going to be in the optimal in some way, somehow, as Tatsuro Taira. I can kind of see him not being as much needed, but I think the leverage and the ownership in itself will give you a little bit to bite and chew off of, and then Joshua Van as well. So kind of like a 2-in-1 combination there. While I think Tatsuro Taira is a good cash game play, I wouldn't hate you for playing Joshua Van either. I think Joshua Van's one of the better underdog plays. I like both sides of the fight. So let's get into the second part of this here and talk about some GPP plays. Who are you looking at for GPPs here?
My favorite play on the slate, I'm going Amosov, 8,500. If you saw my betting breakdown I gave out for the show, he was the very first name I got to. I think in any type of method, if he wins, if you tell me he goes 3 rounds and does chain style takedowns and grappling, I think he could break over 100. But I think he's going to finish the fight. So I think at 8,500 with a finish, he's probably going to score in the high 90s to maybe like 105. So you're definitely going to want that type of piece at 8,500 where you get mid-salary, where most of the public might try to go stars and scrubs.
Yeah, I was kind of feeling the stars and scrub build as well. So it's kind of been eyeing up underdogs throughout the whole entire week. One of them being Waldes Cortez Acosta. I think he's a really good GPP underdog play. Kind of going a little bit under the radar, but we saw a little bit of that betting line kind of get bite down a little bit there on Alexander Volkov. Alexander Volkov was around minus 180 for a majority of the week. That line's finally came down to that 140 range, 137 on FanDuel specifically. I like Waldes Cortez Acosta on both websites. $14 on FanDuel, $7,600 on DraftKings. Right around that, him and Mateus Rebecki are around the same exact price tag on FanDuel, both of them being $14, but a little bit of a price difference on DraftKings. Rebecki's $7,900 on DraftKings, and Waldes Cortez Acosta is $7,600 on DraftKings. So I feel like if you're a FanDuel player and you're using like Optimizer or something like that, Cortez Acosta is not being pushed into optimizers this week. So it's kind of one of the under the radar underdog plays that I was looking at here. Let's talk about a leverage fight though. Talk about the two Philly boys, Pat Sabatini versus William Gomez, and Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. Instead of doing the leverage plays, how are you dissect the two boys on the card? I know that hits home for both of us here.
It does, and stay tuned for later on. Someone's not going to like what I'm going to say about one of the fights, but yeah, if you're playing both sides, the two favorites you're getting are very heavy pressured grapplers, and if you know anything, at least on the DK side, they love your takedowns and grappling ability. So that's two good plays, and I think Sabatini might be under the field because everyone's going to look to get to the Chimaevs, the Gutier. I think those are going to be the two big ones that if you're trying to put them in a lineup, good luck trying to get a third option because you're not going to be able to get no 3Ks and the 9K option. So Sabatini could definitely be also a good leverage play. He's probably going to be under 20 to 22% owned in that type of range. And if you're looking at the Brady fight, realistically, I feel like you're going to need a potential side in that fight. If Brady does it, it's going to be from backpacking, controlling, mixing in his own level type of takedowns. And if Buckley wins, there's a good probability, probably within the first 7.5, 8 minutes, he's going to have to catch Brady potentially. And that's what I think you're playing it for. If you're playing Buckley at the dog price, you're hoping for the knockout. But Brady, he could win by a submission. He could win by a control-based decision. But that's a fight I feel like if you're playing multiple lineups, definitely mix and match that fight.
Yeah, shouts to Big Show. He says, I'm only here for the ownership, and I haven't heard one yet. My bad. The screen that I have for the ownership, it was the end of the Shelton first set there, lost 6-4. But the Pat Sabatini price tag difference between the websites was the one that kind of stood out to me of like, on DraftKings, he's $7,900, so he's like kind of in the upper tier range.
Mm-hmm.
$6. So Pat Sabatini's the same exact price as like Alexander Paul, for example, on FanDuel, which is not the same on DraftKings. I think it could create some good ownership leverage from like the aspect of 20% owned for Pat Sabatini. I'm seeing Grant Dawson around 35% owned. Grant Dawson a little bit more higher owned. You also have Amasov higher owned in that same exact price range. And then Sean Brady is around 30% ownership. Joaquin Buckley is actually the most bet. When I looked at VSiN's betting, whatever you want to call it, between Circa and all those Vegas sports books, Joaquin Buckley was actually the most bet underdog of the whole entire main card. So I think you could fade the Sean Brady fight, honestly. I think fight goes the distance. I like fight goes the distance when we're on the show and be betting fight goes the distance at plus 108 at FanDuel. I think that fight goes all 15 minutes. I don't think Buckley knocks out Brady, and I don't think Brady's able to find the submission. I think he's going to try to wet blanket it. Coming off of a knockout loss in this last fight, I think he's going to try to secure the win. Sabatini, on the other hand, yeah, on paper, it's like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, but Sabatini's submission at plus 270 is something that stands out to me. I was real close to playing Fight Goes Distance, but I have not pulled the trigger on Fight Goes Distance because I think Sabatini could definitely, like, you watch a couple of William Gomez grappling transitions of, like, I watched his, like, get-up game or something like that. He's given up his back a few times to people that are less superior in the grappling than Pat Sabatini, so they weren't able to take advantage of it. Let Pat Sabatini get those same exact positions, the fight's going to be over. So it could be something to eye up as a sports bet, but I think it's a good GPP play. I like Sabatini a little bit more than Sean Brady this week, and I also think it's a way easier fighting William Gomez than what it is Joaquin Buckley. I mean, William Gomez does not hit hard. Sabatini's chin is the issue, not anything else. But as we digress, you want to talk about your favorite underdog play / what ownership percentages on certain fighters stood out to you?
Yeah, if you look at the hold on, let me see what's up to the crowd real quick. Slaughter said Van get paid. Well, Slaughter, I'm on Josh Van, so I'm hoping to get paid on that one. What's good, Juan Time? Oldie. Who else in the chat? Big Show. Remind Billy this is a DFS show. Yeah, we know it's a DFS show, but knowing Billy, he likes to give out the numbers. So that's Billy
Yeah,
numbers
the
right there,
sports
too.
betting odds do matter in the daily fantasy grand scheme of things because the sports betting odds are the probability of that person getting that finish.
But yeah, I don't mind that Sabatini by sub. I might see what the numbers are by the time after this show ends. My favorite dog, if you saw my sheet, I got two of them. I got Van and the co-main. I feel like if he can stuff takedowns, I feel like the striking probably won't be fucking close. I'll be real about it. Even though Tyra is growing as a striker, Van, he throws volume for fucking days. And then the next one, and this is where you can also say potential leverage because a lot of people don't tend to get to it, is the first fight of the night. I like Clayton Carpenter. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. I feel like he can definitely mix it up on the ground. He has good transitions. He's a sneaky good grappler. And I think at 7,400 and you get in the first fight, it allows you to pay up to other options. Like, you get the Chimaev. Maybe if you want to pair up Chimaev with Gutier, you're going to have to put a lot of dogs in to fill the rest of that lineup out. But, I mean, it's doable. I think there could be some potential dog barking on this card. So if you want to get to that, get the two highest payoffs, and then you know what? Dog. I tried it. It didn't stomach well for my lineup, but it's also doable. I like Clayton Carter a lot. I think in any type of method, I think if he goes to decision, he could probably put up mid-90s. But even if he finishes, I think mid-90s, maybe even 100, because we've seen Achua does give up his back. He does give up possession on the ground. He chills on his back. So as a DFS player, you love seeing that at a 7,400 type of price tag. So I like both of those fighters pretty much in my lineup already.
It's funny that you noted about the stars and scrub build because that's the way I'm building this week. And one of the scrubs I'm looking at, I know you don't want to hear it for your parlay tickets, but I like Jeremy Stevens, bro. $9,000, $7,000 on DraftKings. Looking at the ownership for Jeremy Stevens, I mean, it just seems too low, bro. Jeremy Stevens is 3% owned on FanDuel. So basically, Sean Strickland's getting double the amount of ownership. Jim Miller's getting double the amount of ownership. I'm playing my flag. I'm putting my money on Jeremy Stevens, baby. Him and Bobby Green are going to duke that shit out. And the way that Bobby Green fights is just not a fighting style I like to bet on. The hands down Philly shell style. I might be a Jersey boy, but the way those Philly boys be fighting, hands down, trying to show like, bro, you're not Floyd Mayweather, and this is not boxing. You can easily get popped in the face by a guy like Jeremy Stevens. I know Jeremy Stevens. I thought his fight against Mason Jones in his first fight back in Des Moines, Iowa, I thought that was a good performance. While he wasn't able to come out with a W, I feel like the only thing that separated between him and Mason Jones in that fight was really the grappling. Mason Jones got time takedowns. Like the time that you thought the fight was 50-50, as soon as you thought it, he would shoot that takedown, get the takedown, and Jeremy Stevens hasn't grappled in a while. Now in the second MMA fight back, I know Bobby Green's a big price tag in the sports betting world, but I actually like Jeremy Stevens as a stars and scrub type of scrub that I'm going to be throwing into my lineups. It's like if I'm playing fucking Atiba Gauthier and Khamzat Chimaev, you got to
get somewhere.
Yeah, you got to get uncomfortable somewhere, and I'm going to try to get uncomfortable with Jeremy Stevens. 3% ownership is way too low on Jeremy Stevens. But before we get into the leverage play, let's talk about the main event. Main event, Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. Khamzat Chimaev, in real life, had somewhat of a lackluster performance. Like, he got the job done, but it's definitely not in his highlight reel package. When we watch this card tonight, they're not showing no clips besides him raising the belt against DDP. There was really nothing to like highlight about. But in the DraftKings world, Chimaev broke the slate. Not only broke the slate, he broke the scoring of DraftKings. Yeah. He has scored the most DraftKings points by any fighter in DraftKings history and broke the slate in his last fight. You can fade Chimaev if you want to, but if you want to, you might as well send me the money at my PayPal because you're donating at that point if you're fading Chimaev. Do you feel the same exact way, or are you going USA till it's backwards and rooting for Sean Strickland?
Now, before I get into that, I will agree to an extent with the Jeremy Stevens to where I felt with Tim Elliott will fight for your money. Jeremy Stevens will fight for your money. So even in a loss, you might get like 30 to 35 points in a loss, but it allows you to get to bigger fighters in your lineup where you do feel comfortable with. Now getting to the main event, friends don't allow friends to bet on fucking Sean Strickland versus Chimaev. Like, don't be no damn fool. Because if I hear anybody on the stream saying, man, I can't believe I bet on Sean Strickland, I'm going to say, boo fucking who. Because don't waste your time. Chimaev, if you're playing captain contests, should be the option. If not, Gutier. Mix them in if you want to do captain contests.
Yeah.
Because if Gutier gets a 60-second knockout with the extra bonus that you get probably from that captain spot, he's going to score tremendously. Same thing with Chimaev. If Chimaev does anything he did like DDP, yeah, I remember that night where he outscored that card. It took DK like an extra 30 minutes to collect the entire fucking score of everything on that fucking card. And I'm waiting like, look, I know I cashed, but how much did I actually fucking cash? But yeah, don't fade Chimaev in this fight. Don't do it because you're going to be one of those fools with a tail between your legs. You're like, bro, I can't believe I just faded this fucking insane killer Russian. So yeah, don't do that, bro. It's Chimaev or, you know what? Send the money to me or Billy. I'll give you the cash app if you want it.
I feel like if you like Sean Strickland, you should just wait until Chimaev does the Chimaev bullshit in the first 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Every one of Chimaev's fights outside of the DDP one, he has came out like a straight bat out of fucking hell in the first 10 minutes. If you like Sean Strickland, just wait to live bet him. If the fight goes into the 4th to 5th round and Sean Strickland isn't dead by then, you're going to get way better odds than you would pre-flop. But
hold on, we got a question for the show. Big Show says, Kopylov or Gomes? Honestly, I'm more slightly leaning towards Gomes because if we get to the fade matchups, that's probably one of the matchups I'll probably fade because I think Tulio can win that fight in more than one way. His striking's fine. If you watch his Contender Series fight, the reason why he didn't get it the first time because he grappled too damn much. I think he could grapple too much in this fight versus Kopylov and make it more of a boring type of fight. So upside, maybe with a knockout, I would say Gomes personally. That's just me. What about you, Billy?
Me personally, I like Kopylov here. I don't have the bet on the ticket yet, but I will be. I got to decipher if I want to play him in daily fantasy or if I want to sports bet him. Because I think Kopylov's main win condition in this fight is a knockout in rounds 2 or 3. His knockout round 2 or 3 prop opened up at plus 1,200, went down to plus 950 on FanDuel. Looking at his ownership, see 11% ownership. That just seems a little bit too low. I like Roman Kopylov a lot. I've been kind of harping up the tree all week. Roman Kopylov, Waldez, Cortez Acosta, and Clayton Carpenter are the 3 underdogs that I'm looking to mix in. Jeremy Stevens is just more of just like a FanDuel salary saver type of play. And the one projection that you sent me that kind of stood out to me was the Dorjan Santos projection. It seems like the fantasy projections are kind of agreeing with how I kind of had a thought of like, I think Bang Sorakaev wins.
Yes.
It could just be a 30-27. Like he might just win by like inside the distance. Like if no, it's a daily fantasy show, but if you're sports betting or something like that, steer away from the Sorakaev inside the distance props. Like it just might not be the most aesthetically pleasing type of like performance where you think somebody at 670 is just going to knock out somebody in the first round. I don't think that's going to happen in the Sorakaev fight. I feel like he like 29-28s, 30-27s him type of thing. I think it's a unanimous decision when you see a favorite at minus 670 and you see the decision prop line all the way at plus 270. That just screams like this fight could go over 1.5 total rounds. If you're looking for a total or something like that, that's kind of going under the radar. Depending on how the first fight of the night goes, I'll throw my bucket in there for the over 1.5. I got an actual bet though on Clayton Carpenter Ochoa fight goes the distance, but I wouldn't deny you for playing Ochoa. Ochoa's probably going to go low own. Ochoa 12% ownership, like half the ownership of Bobby Green and Brady in that same exact price range. 7 out of 8 wins by knockout. Wouldn't hate you for playing it. But what is the fight that you're looking to fade here on the card the most?
I'll get to that. Mills, if you need at least a start lineup, start with the main event with Chimaev. If it's even cash or GPP, don't matter. Start with the main event, pick a side in the co-main, and then look at maybe some of the the mid-range cards. Like, you looked at Amismov Alvarez, Dawson Rebecca fight. I think you're definitely going to have to want to pick your spots in that one. So that's where you can definitely start building your lineup structure. Hold on, breaking news. McGregor versus Max. Breaking news from Money Mills himself. Look, Mills gets the news. He's the first one to usually release it to us, so that's big. The rematch with McGregor and Max. But now the fights I'm going to personally fade. You said one of them.
International Fight Weekend?
Maybe. I don't know. But I actually got a couple fights I'm going to fade. Hopefully I don't steal yours. I am not playing the Suzukaya fight. Like 9,500. I'm not saying he's terrible. He should win. But I actually do agree with you to where I think the fight could go 15 minutes. And if I'm doing anything for 15, I don't know what Santos will score, but I got no problem if I had to go really below the 7K range. Santos might score 20 to maybe 30 points in a loss, so gives you up building options. And then I know you're more on the Waldo side. I'm fading that fight with the heavyweight. I think that fight goes 15 minutes. I think after the 7.5 minute mark over to 1.5, I think this is going to be pick for shot. And I think neither side scores it off. But, of course, if you get 7,600, maybe Acosta without a finish could maybe score about 70 to 80. So, realistically, it's Acosta or pass. But arguably, I'm just going to fade that fight. No problem, Mills. I got you.
My biggest fight fade of the whole entire week is going to be the Jared Gordon, Jim Miller situation. Mm-hmm. That is just a weird situation where Jim Miller has not won a decision since 2016. Ooh. Bro, Jim Miller hasn't won a decision since I graduated high school. Bro, that is ridiculous, bro. It's almost
10 years.
10 years, bro? That is fucking wild. And then Jared Gordon has a really good decision record, 11-2 in decisions. That seems like more of like a real life sports bet of like Jared Gordon and fight to start round 2 type of thing than like I want to slam Jared Gordon in my daily fantasy lineup at $9,300 or $20 on FanDuel. I just feel like that's just a fate of a fight. I think Jared Gordon wins a decision, and I don't think it really scores that well. Jim Miller, I think, is a little bit too high owned from that ownership that you sent me. Jim Miller is one of the most owned underdogs of the slate and stuff like that. I kind of don't agree with that. I get Jim Miller's win condition would be by finish here, but I think it's just going to be a Jared Gordon 29-28 boring decision type of thing. People are going to get hyped up for the fight, but not a fight that I'm really looking forward towards on the card at all.
I'll say more of a FanDuel play for Gordon because I think Miller will attempt takedowns, and you get points for defending takedowns. And I think Gordon's going to have the better jab. How many jabs he's going to throw, I don't fucking know. But I think he'll have the better boxing range to keep Miller at bay. He's going to stuff the terrible takedowns from far range, and he might put a decent score if you want to get leverage. But I would recommend probably staying away from that fight because I think even on FanDuel, I think Gordon probably needs like a later TKO.
Yeah, I'll throw a bonus one in here before we get out of here. Another fight that I'm looking to fade is the Grant Dawson-Mateus Rudisky fight. You see that Grant Dawson line since weigh-ins, that line just came down, which is so weird because it's not like either fighter like looked depleted at weigh-ins. But Grant Dawson went from -180 down to -146. Red flag for me. I'm out.
Better for me, not for me.
Yeah, and then Rubetsky was a little bit higher owned than I thought he would be. I thought Rubetsky would be like a little bit lower owned, but there could just be other dogs. Like I said, I like Jeremy Stevens, bro. Like not as a real life sports bet, as a daily fantasy play. If that fight goes the distance, Jeremy Stevens scores like 30 to 40 points, he could fuck around and be in the optimal. It's one of those type of slates where like the people at the top could score so fucking high that you could sneak in, a top 10. Yeah, you could sneak into the top 10 with a loss tonight. That like Tatsuro Taira, Joshua Van, that fuck around and be a fight that you could play both sides in the main event. What was it like a month ago? I said to you, I like both sides of I usually don't do it at all, but I played both sides of the main event. Yeah, I forget what fight it was, but it actually worked out. I like min cashed on it. Because we've had so many lopsided main events.
It wasn't even on a main event. It was like towards like a 3-round prelim, and both of them just went bonkers, and they both paid off good.
Yeah, I forget what fight it was off the top of my head. But is there anything you want to leave the people before we get on out of here? Because we're almost at that 30-minute mark.
Yeah, so if you're doing your lineups, I would say lock them in because I don't know how FanDuel does it, but DK, their shit fills very quickly. What up, Lucky Power? What up? Smash the like. Share the video for the fellas. Yeah, man, it only takes a few seconds. So make sure you hit the like, add the video. Make sure to hit that hype button if we have one yet. I'm unsure if we do or not, but if we do, hit that hype button. Let's get this video out to the algorithm. And make sure to tune in 5 p.m. Eastern while we go live for UFC 328 in the Garden State of New Jersey.
Yeah, my bad for not shouting out the chat. The way I have my screen set up, I have like two different screens with tennis, another screen with notes.
No, I can
So
handle
like
that.
this
I
is
can
like
handle that.
very, very small. Shouts to Cody for giving us the pronunciation lessons. And then we got Lucky Power in the building. Make sure you guys haven't already become a silver and gold member. You ask, why do I want to become a silver and gold member? The fuck? You guys just do free videos all the time. No, you become a silver and gold member, you get the bets, the picks, and we've been doing some live streams and stuff like that. If you wake up early enough in the morning, you can catch me in the Discord streaming some tennis matches for the people. Usually the ones that I'm sending out in the Discord for bets. And ADP Rome has been really good for us this week. So hopefully the UFC can follow suit as well. Had a really good week last week in Perth, Australia. Shouts to Joey. Joey got us to the cash last week in daily fantasy. I had my skepticals. I don't know how I made it into the cash. I just tailed a couple of Joey's picks and made it out to be a good night. So I literally had two losers in there and still finished top 30.
Moss.
200 people. Shout out to T Moss in the building as well. But till next time, DFS Fight Lab, once known as First In, Last Out, now known as the DFS Fight Lab. Sorry for the changes and stuff like that. We'll try to keep them down to a minimum. We got a lot of shit cooking up next week, so make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe. MVP week is right around the fucking corner. So till next time, we're out.